Griffin, guess what?
What?
This episode of The Breakfast Dish is sponsored by ATB. Do you know what ATB stands for?
We have ads now? Oh my God.
We have ads because we're part of the Alberta Podcast Network.
Well, here's a little secret. I do know what ATB is because I'm with them. I have a debit card, so this is conflict of interest.
Okay, so let me tell you. You were born in 1996 and I was born in 1966, and ATB was opened in 1938. And their entire job then was to support Albertans during hard times. Are we in hard times right now? Yeah. Are they still going to help us? Yeah, they are, because they've got a Bill to Help Albertans campaign, and they're going to help Albertans recover from the effects of COVID. This is a downturn. It's not over, but ATB was built to help Albertans like you and like me.
So ATB is here to answer the hard questions.
Yeah, any hard questions that you might have as an ATB account holder.
So I'll go to my bank and go, where do babies come from?
That's great. Yep.
And sorry, what you're saying is you'll promise me that they'll answer those.
Well, they say they'll answer commonly asked questions.
Well, I don't know where babies come from.
That's pretty common.
Yeah, maybe not of my age group, but they won't judge. ATB is great.
Ask them anything. They're going to help you because we need the help.
Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish. Bop, 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 bop.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 45, the 1-year anniversary of The Breakfast Dish. This podcast that I started with my son when he was only 24 years old, and now he's 25 because we've been doing this podcast for a year. As of this month, we're that. Do you have anything to say about that?
Sorry, I wasn't going to say anything because I felt like interrupting you, but you're mad I didn't jump in and cut you off?
No, I just ran out of things to say. Welcome, everyone, and welcome everyone to episode 45. And this is the broadcast.
Third time we're trying this intro. It's tough when we don't have the guidance of a guest.
I know.
There's no reason to. We don't have to put on. Yeah, this is a slow jam breakfast dish.
Well, I'm stressed because it's just going to be you and me talking to each other, and I don't know what to talk to you about.
It could be everything. We haven't plugged out. I don't think we've plugged ourselves once, so we could plug ourselves all the time. We could plug everything we're doing in one big plug episode.
Okay, so in this, the 45th episode of The Breakfast Dish.
I don't know where. Do we want to restart?
Yes, you introduce it.
I am interested to see how much of this you leave in. All right. It's me, Griffin Cork. You know the Breakfast Dish name and you know the Breakfast Dish time. It's sometime on Monday or Tuesday, hopefully Monday. This is Griffin and Karen, we're on episode 45. And here's the deal, folks. We have no guests this time. There's not a single other person here. You'll probably be able to tell by the episode title, but it's just us. Because it is our anniversary episode of The Breakfast Dish.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
And we're also kind of like a bad partner because I think we're about 3 days late. I guess I can look. 1 second.
Yeah, look. I'll keep singing. Happy, 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 happy
never
anniversary.
Mind.
Happy.
It's actually... it's before. June 25th is when we uploaded episode 0.
Uh-oh.
July 1st was episode 1.
So we're jumping the gun.
Well, that's fine, because then if we waited, we'd miss it. So this is an anticipation anniversary episode.
Anticipation. Did you ever see Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yes, I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. What are you talking about?
That's the big bit.
I know. I used the bit in one of our social media postings.
Yes, you did. That's right.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of season 2. One, because for some reason we're deciding to go in 25 episode chunks, but also because you are spending the month of July and I am spending the month of August away from our regular duties.
We're actually going back to a regular work schedule, me in July and you in August. I want to talk about what you're doing in August. I want to talk about what I'm doing in July. I want to talk about what you've recently been doing.
Okay.
I want to talk about what this podcast is about. What is this podcast about, Griffin?
This podcast is about you and I usually interviewing artists who are making online or digital or socially distant art in these uncertain, but we're slowly coming out of it times. And it is probably a fine time to reveal that our goal eventually for this podcast, the reason we didn't name it like the COVID dish or something is because after this, we hope to kind of just talk to people about anything and everything.
Apparently, by July 1st, we could be sitting at a breakfast joint across from somebody recording in the restaurant.
I think I would hate that, especially because people are going to be rowdy breakfast times after this lockdown. I'm getting blitzed at every Denny's I go to for the rest of my life because I didn't know what I had till it's gone.
What happens at a rowdy breakfast?
First things first, mimosas. Second things second, 17 whiskey shots, and then a Moon Over Miami, which I tried recently. They're pretty good. Moon Over Miami is pretty decent.
At Denny's, I would get those hush puppies, which are basically just like a pancake donut in a circle and you dip it in honey. Oh, it's just a donut. It's just a donut.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you put enough wheat stuff into a circle and then dip it in what sounds like glaze, anything can be a donut.
If you put enough wheat stuff in a circle.
If you get a circle, a sphere of flour and you dip it in Nutella, that's a donut.
I had a friend over who brought a donut.
You're under arrest. Sorry, you are under arrest.
Outside.
All right.
And it's some summertime Tim Hortons special. This thing weighed almost as much as you did at birth. Like it was so heavy because if people don't know, I am the mother, Griffin's the son, and he is now 6'3.5", but he was born 2 months early. So at one point he was very, very tiny.
That's so long. I'm trying to think of the last 2 months. 2 months preemie is a lot.
I know it is. And you were like so wee. And then today I held a donut that was almost as big as you were when you were born.
Oh, so it's okay. But how hyperbolic are you being?
What? Okay, I'm being I never use that word. I'm exaggerating, but still, it was a heavy donut, and it's like a normal Tim's glazed donut, but the inside of it was stuffed with strawberry mousse. So
Jesus.
It's still a donut. It's not like a Boston cream. Like it's still got the hole in the middle. So the entire ring of the donut was filled with mousse, and then there's this like at least half-inch layer of pink icing on the top of it. And then it had all these sugar sprinkles on the top.
That's how a stuffed donut should be, right? There's the whole school of thought that like a jelly donut or like a Boston cream isn't a donut because it doesn't have the hole.
There's no hole.
It's like a Danish or an eclair or something, but it's not a donut.
I have never experienced a ringed donut with a hole that's stuffed until today.
That was Tim Hortons, you said?
Yes.
Wow, and that's impressive.
You're welcome, Tim Hortons, for that product placement sponsorship that we just gave.
Timmy, give us some cash. Come on, let me text him. I'll text him.
Anyway, how did we get on this? Oh, that's what I want. That.
This is gonna be the worst episode for tangents because you and I can communicate in our insane family language, and we don't feel like we have to clarify because we're not being supervised.
It's true, we're not being supervised. But you did mention we're coming up to the end of season 2, and we are, right, which is unbelievable to me.
So do we transition now? Is this our transition point? Can we just bring people on
just because we want to talk about them?
Yeah, to chat about non-COVID related art.
I think our transition should happen for season 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Season 3, we are free.
Season 3, come sit on my knee while we record. Nope.
You could have said with me. You know what I'm saying? You absolute ventriloquist.
What has been your favorite memory of this whole podcast year? It doesn't have to be an episode. It can just be a thing that happened or a moment.
Okay. I have, the big 2 for me are Dave Kelly and Morris Ertman kind of just coming onto the show to make fun of us. And by us, I mean me.
And a little Andy Curtis, too, was doing that, too.
Right. And so my third one, in addition to that, is Trevor Schmidt and Darren Hagen of the clip that's in our trailer. If you haven't heard our trailer, I think we're on Apple Podcasts. You can go find it. It's just Trevor saying, now we've divided this podcast, me and Karen and 2 perverts. That line's going to stick in my head for like the rest of my life.
And the perverts were you and Darren.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah. I think my favorite part has been, seeing you every week. I don't mean to get smushy, but seeing you every week has been one of my favorite things.
Yeah, we do not communicate other than the podcast.
Never.
I reject your calls.
Me out of his life.
Yeah, I've brick-walled my door.
Unless you want to come over and do laundry, then you're here.
And stab myself, yes.
And stab yourself,
and see, and that's what happens when I try and communicate with you outside of the podcast, is I get shanked. So that'll teach me.
I really like it when we're interviewing someone that has a connection to both you and I somehow. You know what I mean?
Or no connection to either of us. Like
yes, that's true.
The 2 lovely Zip Gallery ladies.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
The fact I had no idea what going in, and then we kept referencing gin and juice, which is not something I thought would come up in an Angel Art Gallery exhibition.
One of my favorite things is that I got to continue having breakfasts and meeting new people and introducing them to the rest of the world, because that's how the breakfast series started. Did I ever tell this podcast how the breakfast series started? The terrible job I was doing?
Oh, what?
Like the horrible job, and then I came back and I was super depressed, and Trevor Lee said, let's go play Scrabble.
Maybe not these specific details, but...
Okay, here's the specific details.
Listen, folks, if you're here for a guest interview, this is clearly the wrong episode. So this is really just a mother and son reunion.
Although Denise is going to be here later. I asked her to come.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I asked her to come.
God, I hate Denise. That's new canon. Griffin hates Denise. God, she's a hag.
That's the name of one of the donuts in my new donut shop called Circle Wheat Things Dipped in Glaze. Griffin hates Denise. I would buy that donut in an instant. Griffin hates Denise.
Yeah, I think if any food product had the word Denise in it, I'd really have to try. Like it's a pumpkin soup that just says like Denise's Taxi. I'd really, like one of those fancy cocktails. The War of Denise. You got to buy that. Fancy cocktail names are, I think, very hilarious. There's the one bar in Calgary that I like to go to called Proof, and they usually have like a themed menu. So they'll separate it into the different liquors, and then they'll do like, one of them was like storybook genres. So like their gins were all like fairy tale names, and their whiskeys were all like sci-fi books. Like it's very cool.
So just suggest to them, Denise's Taxi.
Yeah, right. But then what's the rest of the menu? What is that? What is that an element of a larger theme?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to tangent onto that. So
okay.
These are the first 5 drinks on the menu at Proof. It's Denise's Taxi, Brenda's Whiteout, Todd forgot his shoes.
Okay, so we've moved on from objects, and now we're just talking about regrets.
I'm doing a person and a thing. Todd forgot his shoes.
We didn't give a verb to Denise or Brenda. You said forgot.
All right, Denise's Taxi, Brenda's Whiteout, Todd's Bad Back.
Todd's Bad Back I actually kind of like. I think I might try that. This is not how I thought this episode would go, but go ahead.
Darlene's Regrets and Ronalee's.
Ronnalee?
I went to school with a Ronnalee. Ronnalee.
No, you didn't. That's made up. That sounds like a name that you said as a bit.
No.
Ronnalee?
Yeah, because her mom's name was Lee and her dad's name was Ron, so they made the name Ronnalee.
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 I can't picture that as the naming.
Proof.
Sorry.
Listen to me. Your fifth.
Sorry, Karen. It's me. Proof. Go ahead.
The 5th drink is Ronalee's cigarette lighter.
Okay, no joking. All jokes aside, I would try a drink called Darlene's Regrets. That sounds cool as hell.
Okay, we've really gotten off topic.
God,
here.
where the hell are we?
I was.
I cannot. Do you remember in episode 0 when you were like so cautious about like what to talk about? Like we were kind of figuring out how to do a podcast, and now this is just like pure roll the dice chaos.
Okay, I'm going to back up. I'm going to make sure we cover everything. First of all, the breakfast series started because I worked a terrible job and I fell into a terrible deep depression. I was like laying in bed crying for 3 months. Trevor Lee says, do you want to go play Scrabble? We went to a coffee shop. We had breakfast. We played Scrabble and it saved my life. So then the next day I had to have a meeting and I went, you know what? We're going to have that meeting over breakfast. And then the next time I had to have a meeting and then it just started there. So that's a 10 years now, almost 11 years now that's been happening. So that's how the breakfast series started. Trevor Lee saved my life. That's the 6th drink on the Proof drink menu.
Trevor Lee saved my life?
Yep, I drink that one. Okay, so then backing up, I'm going to do Art Strike in July. You're going to film a web series in August. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
And also the other thing was, are we going to transition? Yes, we are, starting in season 3, which is September. Because we're going to take August off. We're fair warning, everybody. We're taking August off. There, I think I've brought all of our tangents, and now they're on one little box right in front of us here.
Right. You also mentioned you might want to talk about what I have been doing.
Right. Speaking of films. Okay, I know this is your mother talking, and if you don't care to hear me talk about you like your mother, then plug your ears or get out.
Hit that 15-second skip button on Apple Podcasts.
No, I'm talking
Just
to you,
zoom
Griff, because I'm about to do a mummy thing.
I understand, and I'm talking to the audience because I'm trying to help.
My son, Griffin Cork, made a documentary this year about my mom, Sandra Jean Moser, and the fact that she's made over 3,500 free face masks for what started to be just the theater community and then expanded to the rest of Canada. But it's
single-handedly protected Canada.
You made this beautiful documentary and she saw it for the first time. You went up to Edmonton and showed it to her. Tell me about that experience.
She saw it last night. She was Pretty nervous. She was more nervous during filming, but I kind of sat her down and she's like, I'm going to look like an idiot. I go, no, you're not. I'm the person directing this. It's me and Morgan editing. If we make you look like an idiot, everybody will think we're shitty people. So you're not going to look like an idiot. I promise. Like, I can promise you, I won't make you look dumb.
Right.
The point of this is to make you look good. And that was kind of a very honest grandson to grandmother moment. So I got there last night and she was definitely still nervous. I think it was like the family aspect of like, what if I don't like it? What do I say? Like, I think she was kind of running through her head about it.
Right.
But every time that someone said something nice about it, she was like, oh, golly. Or like, or like, Luke, you're full of shit. Like, just like kind of out loud. She made a lot of lovely noises during the SIG section where we talked about SIG.
That's my late stepfather, everybody, her late husband.
And at the end, she just kind of turned to me and she went, okay, I was prepared to lie to you and say that I really liked it. Like, I was prepared to not like it and had a lot of problems with it. And I was going to be like, oh, it's pretty good. And I was watching for parts. She does what you do. She was watching for parts that she liked so she could bring up the things that she liked. And then she went, but I really fucking like that. I don't like my shirt there. And I think I'm limping like an idiot. But it was a really good story. And I like how you joined it. And you made me sound kind of smart. So it was kind of far surpassing my expectations. I thought she was going to be way more critical of herself.
You'll watch the documentary and you'll see this little 5'3", almost 80-year-old woman with gray hair tottering around knitting. But what she did actually say to Griffin is, I really fucking like that.
Yeah. We cut out so many times that she swore at me. In fact, we left a few in, but after every sit-down interview, I was like, okay, that's it. Like, I think that's all my questions. And she would either go, fuck, or she'd go, this is terrible. Yeah, straight up. But she started to have fun. In the behind-the-scenes clip, we talk about, she's shouting at us through her kitchen. She goes like, I know I'm not the director, but I have this pan of bacon, and man, if you don't get a shot of that, it's a waste.
A pan of bacon on film is like home. She doesn't sound like that at all. I don't know why.
Yes, she does. She sounds like an old witch.
So we have now talked about this beautiful documentary. What is it called? Griffin Cork, director.
It's called Oma.
Awesome.
It's just called Oma.
Oma is German for grandma. And that's what Griffin called it, because she was her second husband and her longest partner was my German stepdad, Siegfried. They were Oma and Opa.
Siegfried Karl Hans Moser.
Siegfried Karl Hans Moser.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Sandy. You can't win Scrabble if you don't get the letters. God damn it.
That's not something I ever thought would be on a podcast, is your impression of your German stepfather. When we were originally thinking about it truly, we went into the process, I was thinking it was just going to be about the mask. As we were filming, it was clear that, like, she didn't really want to talk about the masks because she's trying to, like, hide from the accolades of the masks. And she doesn't want to admit that she's done something. So she was kind of talking about anything else, which is where we got the porcupine story. But same with the interviews, right? Like, people would go, yeah, the masks are great, but you need to understand that this woman is amazing. Like, they got more into, like, their personal experience with them, which, frankly, I prefer. This is something Morgan and I chatted about, is you hear the feat and you understand the action and you go, but you get it in 5 minutes, right? Yeah. I think if this documentary turns out to be successful, it'll be how charming her character is, because she's so grumpy throughout. Like, she starts to have fun, but at the beginning, we were talking about the order of the film, and we realized we couldn't change the order of the film because we put her interviews chronologically. So the first one, she's super nervous and quiet and still. On the last one, she's like having a good time and knitting and, cursing us off and whatnot. So if we put that first interview anywhere but right at the beginning, it'll seem like the crew did something. Like she's having a fine time and then she's silent. But that progression is like the audience gets to see her open up, I think, is like the money of the whole thing.
And we can't show it to anyone yet.
Not yet. It's all going to festivals.
Yeah, it's got to go to all the festivals and win all the prizes at Sundance, and then we can show it to people.
Sundance, that's yikes. When we host our 2nd-year anniversary episode, 2-year anniversary episode of The Breakfast Dish, you will be able to watch it.
June 2022?
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked about what you've been doing, and then what's going to happen in August?
No, it's your turn. We're going chronologically.
Okay, in July, I'm going to work my 13th summer at Arts Trek. which is Theatre Alberta's summer drama camp for teens. And before we talk about it, I will just preface it by saying that when I finally convinced my boy to go to Arts Trek, he said to me two things. First, he said, "Hey, Mom, do you know what the happiest place on earth is?" And I said, "What?" And he went, "Disneyland." Just kidding, Arts Trek.
I said this the first year to you?
No, after the second year, I think. But after the third year you were at Arts Trek, you said to me, "Mom, if you died and your funeral was in July, I wouldn't be at your funeral." And it was the best.
I forgot I said that. That's insane that I said that to my mother. That's bonkers.
It was the best compliment. No, it's great. It was the best compliment because that's how I wanted you to feel about Arts Trek the way I felt about Arts Trek. And if you chose to come to my funeral instead of going to Arts Trek, I would be so pissed off at you from the grave.
Okay, well, no. You know what? I would probably, right now, go to your funeral before I go to Arts Trek. Arts Trek's the best, but there's multiple Arts Treks. You kind of get the one shot at Mommy Dearest's funeral.
You know what? I would have it written in my will that if I die in July, the funeral's in August, for Pete's sake, because my kid doesn't want to go to my funeral. He wants to go to Arts Trek.
Hello. This is Karen Johnson Diamond's last will and testament. It's written on a bar napkin with a lovely cup stain. I only have one stipulation. My funeral will be in July, but it will be surrounded by armed guards, and you cannot let Griffin in. Thank you. I'm going to die now. And die.
Let's just talk about it really quick. It's like Disneyland for drama geeks. For an entire week in the summer. It's golden. I say that, but I have taught there for 5 years, and then I've been the administrative director for 8. Of course, I'm going to talk that way, but you tell me your experience with it.
And to be fair, I had kind of a little sneak into how cool Arts Trek was, because one of the years you were teaching, you brought me there when I was 12, which is a year before I was allowed to be in there for the last dance of the oldest year, I believe.
Yeah.
And they were all very nice to me, and I was 12. And I wasn't like super cool or charming when I was 12. So I I just remember I was too nervous. I was too scared to go in the dance circle. So I just did like the thing that some guitar players do, is like hold an air guitar and then put one leg in the air and kind of like hop. So I did that through the dance circle because I was too nervous to stay in there. But everyone clapped for me. My 12-year-old brain was like, "Oh man, this place rocks." And the person named Slim.
Oh yeah.
I remember a person named Slim. And they had like a whole bunch of cool like hoodies and rings and necklaces on. And every time I wear a necklace or a ring or a hoodie, which is not often on either of those fronts, I'm just emulating Slim. Slim had a larger part of impact on my life than I think they know.
And you were sitting off to the side being all nervous, and Wayne Diatley said, "Come on up and dance." And that's what got you out of your chair.
Oh, that's right. Oh, God.
All I remember, you were absolutely right. There was 130 kids surrounding you in a circle in Studio A of Red Deer College, and you breakdancing in the middle.
Oh yeah, when I was of different proportions, I could break dance.
Here's the thing about Arts Trek. It's not audition based. You want to be in, you get in. You have to adhere to a code of conduct for sure, but you don't have to audition to get in. Like if you are the one in your school that loves drama so much and you haven't got any other people there that really feel that same way, you go to Arts Trek and then everybody is you. You're all the same. You can go for 6 years. And each year they switch the script that is at the center of the week, like which script they study. There's really cool supervisors who used to be students there who provide all the campy, wacky, campy fun. And then you make connections that last forever.
Well, it's true that you learn from some of the best people in the biz. Like one of the people I interviewed for the documentary I made at Arts Trek, Miyako Ochi, who we had on for the Collider Fest.
The kids you meet there, you'll never lose these connections. They'll last forever.
Yeah, and I will say that the feeling of like going there and realizing that you're with the other drama geeks doesn't go away. The one year that I supered was the year that we did In the Heights. And of course, that was also around the same time where Hamilton was just kicking off, or it's been around for like a year or so. And I did a lot of driving between Calgary and Lethbridge when I was going to U of L. So of course, all my friends were sick of hearing me talk about Hamilton. But I go to the Arts Trek, and even though I'm kind of the super, there's kids like doing the other side of the rap with me. Like that doesn't go away.
Anyway, so I'm just going to plug Arts Trek and say this year it is online because darn it, kids need Arts Trek. So that's what I'm doing in July. We're going online. If you are interested, listeners, then you should look at theatrealberta.com. Arts Trek. Do you know how many years Theatre Alberta has been doing a version of Arts Trek?
52.
60 years this camp has been going. So when I'm in the middle of recording in July and I'm either like high as a kite or teary with remorse, it's because it's either happening or over.
Yeah, between sessions with kids and teachers, Karen smokes a fat California gag.
No, I mean, that's my drug. Teenagers learning drama, that's totally my drug. So I'll probably be like...
Yeah, awesome. I love teaching kids. But other thing that I love more is MDMA at an EDM concert.
What the hell is MDMA?
What? You don't know what MDMA? Like Molly?
No, and if you do, I'm concerned.
I don't either. I'm just making up words.
You know what it is.
No!
I don't want to know what it is.
I would have never.
Never talk to me about this again.
I would have never brought it up in the podcast if I knew what it was.
You're so lying right now. I thought MDMA was when you got up really close to the mic.
That's ASMR.
Oh, all right. Anyway, I can multitask because I'm a grown-up and I can do Arts Trek and a podcast at the same time. But apparently, August is going to be so busy for you.
Yeah, well, the difference is that I'm not going to be at my, freaking lush office with my Pomeranian.
You're right. You will not be in your office. You will be on set.
That's right. We will be on set. Wait. I don't know if I should talk about this, actually. It's not actually public knowledge yet. We haven't, made our announcement as a team yet.
Well, you're filming in August is basically what's happening, which is why we might not be able to record in August, which is why we're going to take August off.
I'll be on set in August for a month. And how cryptic I am being about it makes it probably sound a lot more exciting than it is, given all the cool, amazing stuff filming in Calgary at the moment. I guess what I'm saying is I don't have a reoccurring role on Last of Us. That's not what I'm getting at. It's something different than that. On an entirely unrelated note, you should all check out season 1 of Abracadavers on the Fantasy Network, available in Canada. If you're listening somewhere else other than Canada, like the UK, the US, Germany, or Japan, you can watch it on Amazon Prime. If you're in Canada, you can go to the Fantasy Network. You can watch it for free. You don't need a subscription or anything. Just unrelated. You should check it out.
I don't know where that came from. That was a sidebar. Wow.
Yeah.
Abracadavers, you say.
That's right. It might seem like these two things are connected, but they're not.
No.
It doesn't matter what I'm filming is what I'm saying, right? But all I know is that, I'm going to be busy. Our graphic designer, Morgan Ermter, is going to be busy. And oh, wait a second. Morgan's the creator of Abracadavers. That's kind of goofy.
Wow, what a coincidence. So he's going to be busy in August too? Wow.
He does a lot of wedding videography, and he said, not that to me, and then he shoved me. I had a sack lunch of a banana and a PB&J and a Baby Bell, and he kind of took it. He's like, I don't want any of this, but I'm going to unwrap your Baby Bell. And he did. And we all know that's the best part. And he let my loose cheese hit the dirt.
Okay. And proof, loose cheese hits the dirt.
That's bad. That sounds like it'll be an earthy cheese drink. And I cannot think of two worse flavors together.
Okay. How about unwrapped Baby Bell?
That's okay. That I'm actually kind of here for. The wax unwrapped.
Some theaters, when they have, when they have a play and then they pick a drink that sort of is goes with the play, like the theme of it or something, I'd be really good at that. So since it might be a while yet before theaters can fully open and hire actors, if anyone needs anybody to name drinks for them, here I am.
To be clear, yeah, you're not even offering to make the drink.
No.
You're just saying someone has to make the flavor profile of the drink, decide the ingredients, and then you decide the name of the drink.
Yeah, I'll do it for everybody, not just a theater. So if anybody, Proof or other bars or whatever, need their drinks named, I will name them before you even have to decide what the ingredients are. I'll just name them and then you decide what's in a Brenda's Whiteout.
So, okay, but I'm going to give you a drink of ingredients and you're going to name it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Go.
So it has apple rum, ginger beer. I don't know if this will be good. A little dash of lemon gin and an orange slice. I don't know that this is good. I used to bartend and that's the hogwash that just came out of my mouth right there.
I'll tell you what it's called. Tracy loves a thrift store.
Okay, we're going to do one more.
Okay.
All right, Sprite, raspberry sourpuss, that lychee liqueur that I think is maybe called Soho, and an orange slice.
Belinda's Kate Spade bag. Here's the thing. It matters not at all what the ingredients are. I just make up 4 words and put them together.
So I'm really stressing on my end of things, trying to make a cocktail that sounds good. And you're just waiting
I'm just waiting for you to finish so I can
like a piece of dynamite to explode the answer out of your mouth.
What is the ingredients, though, of Brenda's Whiteout? What would you put in it, ex-bartender?
I would make it like a variation of like a White Russian, I think.
Sure.
Like
yeah.
so
milk or cream in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll probably do it like a milk and like a coffee liqueur, which I think is maybe just a Black Russian.
Well, it's got to have something that looks like ink in there somewhere. And then, you know those rocks, the rock sugar you can get, the rock candy on a stick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just that's in there too, because that represents when your whiteout gets like old and dry and you can't put it on the paper anymore.
I think that's too nuanced. I got to be honest. If I'm 4 cocktails in, I want to know why there's a stick in my drink. Because, of course, the rock candy will dissolve.
When you're 4 drinks in and you've had a puff of MDMA.
A puff of MDMA? I remember when I was in elementary school, there was a kid named Nolan, and he had a necklace that he told everybody was made out of weed. What I think he meant was that it was made out of hemp. Mm-hmm. However, the string was made out of hemp, and then there was also beads on it. I can't remember if this is what he said, or this is a joke, or really a fact that we all tried to pretend that we all knew about drugs when we were in elementary school. If you lick the bead, you'll get high. I remember that so vividly, because even as a kid, I went, that doesn't seem right. That looks like plastic to me.
Wait, did you try it, though?
No.
Okay.
I also had to go close to Nolan's neck and lick his sweaty elementary school neck. No, Nolan, no drugs worth that. Good night.
My friends in elementary would have licked the bead and then pretended to be high. They totally would have licked the bead.
Did you ever, like, were you ever handed like a joint at a party and like did like a half puff of it, didn't inhale, and then just like pretended to be high to fit in?
Never.
Okay.
I know I'm such a boring mom. I never did. My elementary school friends used to go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee and drink it, chug it so fast so that they get brain freeze on purpose, because the feeling when brain freeze goes away was like a high.
That's in a song, I think. I think that's in Heather's maybe. Freeze your brain, take a down and get lost in the pain. Have you heard that song? I think it's Heather's.
They didn't invent it. When was Heather's written? I went to elementary school in the 70s. We invented that.
I have to look this up. Freeze Your Brain, song by Barrett Wilbert Weed. Yeah, it is from Heather's. I didn't know the guy's name was Barrett Wilbert Weed.
That's the character or the person who wrote that musical?
That's one of the people who wrote this musical and/or song.
Nice.
Ryan McCartan and Barrett Wilbur Weed. Weed.
He licked the beads.
Licked the bead weed. The weed bead.
All right, so that was a good celebration of a year's worth of podcasting.
I don't know if any of this is usable. We got to start over, because what happened?
Welcome, everyone, to episode 45.
And I revealed to my mother that I know what MDMA is. That's what this episode is.
You know what? I think it's just us proving that we can handle it if a guest one time didn't show up, that we actually have something to talk about ourselves.
Right. Although sometimes we talk with like the company manager about talking about the show. So we still have an obligation to put out something about the show. So we'll just make it up. That's actually what I'll do if a guest cancels. When we were first starting, you emailed Jan Arden, didn't you?
I did. I'm still hoping.
Yeah, I think maybe. One day.
She's the funniest woman in the world.
Yeah.
We'll just keep our fingers crossed. She's a little busy.
When we get to John Krasinski, then we can end the podcast forever.
Oh, I really want that.
I still wonder if maybe if we should just try. If we should just like
You should just try.
We'd have to pay money, right? Like we'd have to pay money.
I don't know.
We'd have to.
Okay, look, my mom wants to know if you'll be on our podcast.
Yeah, but he doesn't run Some Good News anymore. He sold Some Good News.
Yeah, but
right?
now our mandate's changing in September. We can just talk to him because he's interesting.
Right, because John Krasinski's got nothing going on. So we have to wait for the mandate to change.
We know you're between gigs, John.
Yeah, what are you up to? Yeah, you're going to go work at Proof? You're going to make Darlene's regrets for me? Johnny boy, he can't listen to this episode.
How are we going to take us out of this episode? Because I'm not doing what's happening, because we just did.
We have to say that The Breakfast Dish is part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear is by Alexandra Kalman, who we have to bring her on, right?
Oh, of course. Why haven't we yet?
I say that, but she's been doing so much stuff.
Yeah, true.
And All graphic design has been done by Morgan Ermter.
Who created Abracadabra Season 1, available now on the Fantasy Network.
All right. Name me 4 more drinks to end this podcast.
Okay.
Name me 1 drink around Oma, 1 drink around Arts Trek, 1 drink around Abracadabras, and 1 drink around the bad job you had.
Oh, okay. Okay, the one around Oma is called Sandy's Pan-O Bacon.
Pan-O Bacon. That's good because pan is also a camera move. That's great.
Nice. The drink that's about Arts Trek is called Juicy Juice, obviously.
I was going to say,
that's what we drink all the time at Arts Trek. The one about Abracadabras is called Blue and Yellow. And then the one about the worst job ever is Esther Saved My Life. How about that?
Esther Saved My Life is also pretty good. I would definitely try that.
Yeah.
All right, here's mine. Dan Cherry. That's the end of the podcast. Bye. This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by the Calgary Foundation, proudly supporting community needs for 65 years.
When I'm 65.
Everyone wants to feel a sense of belonging. Now, more than ever, we are united by a desire to take action and help others by creating a community built on kindness and compassion. This is a very good ad for our podcast.
Calgary Foundation is all about kindness. Why? Because did they sponsor this podcast in the beginning?
The first baby steps of The Breakfast Dish?
Yeah, with a little grant. What else about grants from Calgary Foundation?
Well, I'll tell you, from small creative projects to larger citizen-led initiatives, the Calgary Foundation provides grassroots grants to encourage and support people like me and Karen who want to create and strengthen bonds between neighbors and communities. Oh my God, this is us.
If Griffin and I had a stronger bond, he would call me Mum instead of Karen.
Okay, well, you could talk to them about this. So if you've got an idea to improve, enhance, or revitalize your community or neighborhood, visit calgaryfoundation.org to find out more about the Foundation's grant opportunities, and you can visit the Calgary Foundation's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channel, and sometimes they share our podcast a little bit.
And you can also improve your community by calling your mommy Mom.
This has been The Breakfast Dish.